The world is rapidly changing, and even something as quick as a hummingbird might struggle to keep up. I'm Chris Morgan. Join me on The Wild as I explore the desert of Arizona to find out more about this tiny but tough little bird and how they manage to survive in such a harsh environment. And I come literally eye to eye with dozens of these acrobatic marvels. Listen to The Wild with Chris Morgan on the KUOW app or wherever you get your podcasts.
When it comes to the white-collar workforce, warning signals are blinking red.
We have learned that just over 2,300 of the 14,000 corporate jobs being cut at Amazon are here in Washington state. The Seattle-based tech giant announced the mass layoffs yesterday as it integrates AI into its workforce.
The unemployment rate for new college grads has recently surged, and some economists say businesses are now replacing entry-level jobs with artificial intelligence.
That uncertainty has more kids going blue collar. Trade schools are booming.
I think we're actually probably on par for this to be a record-breaking year. We may hit 2,800 applications this year.
I'm Joshua McNichols.
I'm Monica Nicholsberg, and this is Booming. Today, as AI and economic uncertainty reshape the labor market, could trade schools be the new ticket to the American dream? That's coming up.
$2,000 men a shift, 3 shifts a day, 6,000 men earned an honest wage in that room. Fed their kids, bought homes, made enough to send their kids to college, buy a second car, building something they could see, not just figures on a balance sheet, but a ship they could see, smell, and touch. Those men knew their worth.
So, Monica, in our reporting on AI, one thing comes up a lot. When you ask tech executives about AI's potential to replace jobs, they often say something like, there will always be jobs in the trades.
Yeah, it's exactly what Microsoft's Brad Smith said to me a few months ago when I asked about this, that, hey, there's always opportunities for people who want to be electricians or plumbers.
It makes me wonder, are young people who are just starting their careers getting this message?
I think they are. At the top, you heard from Ryan Brad, who runs the Puget Sound chapter of a national electrician's apprenticeship program. And he said they've got a record number of applications this year. I also talked to the Washington State Department of Labor and Industries about this, and they said that their apprenticeship programs have been increasing their class sizes steadily over the past decade. They graduated about 16,000 students last year, and that's up from about 9,000 in 2014.
Wow, so it's almost doubled in that time. So it sounds like the trades were gaining popularity even before generative AI came onto the scene, right?
Yeah, this trend was already underway. AI is accelerating it, but there are a few things that have been driving this renewed interest in the trades beyond AI. We'll get into them more later, but there are basically 3 things going on here. First, there's increased state and federal funding to expand apprenticeship programs so more people can go into them. And second, there's COVID, of course. That changed the calculation for a lot of kids. Combined with rising costs of college, it led a lot more young people to consider alternate paths. And then third, as college seems like a less secure bet in some cases, the stigma associated with skipping a 4-year degree in favor of a trade is going away to some extent.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned stigma because, you know, I think of Seattle as always having been a sort of proud blue-collar town. You know, you had Boeing, shipbuilding.
Yeah, but in the 90s and early 2000s, the message started to change. This was the era when we decided all kids should go to college. And the trades developed this stigma because they were sort of seen as a last resort for kids who couldn't get in or afford to go to college. But then in the mid-2000s, it started to become clear that pushing everybody toward a 4-year degree may not have been the best plan. Kids who did go to college were sometimes leaving with a ton of debt or no job prospects.
Yeah, I mean, the prices of some colleges are crazy right now. We're looking at colleges with my daughter right now. She's a high school senior, and especially the out-of-state schools, you know, just could put us in debt for a long time.
Yeah, and as families are doing that math, there's this looming threat to the white-collar workforce from AI that basically makes everybody question whether that investment's going to pay off. All this has led to a rising interest in a career in construction or other skilled trades. And the federal government has responded by increasing funding to expand apprenticeship programs, which is one reason we're seeing more people go into them. I heard a lot about this spike in demand from Jay Connolly. He coordinates the Skilled Trades Pre-Apprenticeship Program in Seattle Public Schools.
Right now, we are full for North and South End. Our next expansion will be adding a third leg of the program on the west side of town at Chief South. So right now we have kids driving from West Seattle and Chief South all the way across to Columbia City, which is hard to do during their lunch break, but they're doing it.
What kind of trades are we talking about?
Building trades, so carpenters, welders, things like that.
And I mean, these sound like good jobs.
They are good jobs. You can make 6 figures or more once you get established. And unlike college, where you invest a lot of money in your education up front and hope it pays off later, you actually get paid while you're learning a trade during your apprenticeship. So it kind of makes sense in today's economy why more people are interested in this.
Okay, so more kids want to go to trade school. Does that mean more young people view going into a trade as a good alternative to a traditional 4-year college degree?
In some cases, yeah. Jay said he's seeing changes in the backgrounds of kids who want to go into these programs.
As the programs become more popular, I'm getting more middle-class kids with white-collar parents who are asking a lot of questions like, is this smart? Or really want me to understand that their child would be perfectly capable of succeeding in a 4-year college.
You know, it almost sounds like it's not the kids who need convincing. There should be no stigma. It's the parents.
Yeah, you can tell that they're carrying some of the baggage from that previous era that we were talking about. So some kids who might have otherwise gone to a traditional college are choosing a trade instead. But there's also something else going on.
Well, I'm Monica. Okay.
I went to one of these trade schools, the Northwest Washington Electrical Industry Apprenticeship Program up in Mount Vernon.
These we actually use in the field for a larger conduit most of the time. So basically, yeah, you just...
And when I was there, I talked to several current apprentices who already have a 4-year degree, but aren't getting a lot of use out of it. This is Brendan Hancock.
Going back to university when I had already been to university and not gotten a career out of it wasn't very appealing. I don't think I've ever seen a job ad that said English degree required.
Chris Reed didn't think there was another option.
No. I was just told that that's what I was supposed to do, and if I did that, it'd lead to a good job. But I came out of college right before the Great Recession, and me and pretty much everybody I knew didn't have jobs when we got out of college. So
Henry Jones considered a 4-year university, but ended up doing an apprenticeship.
A good point. AI is threatening a lot of white-collar positions, and a lot of my friends who knew, like, oh yeah, I definitely can be a programmer, are baristas now.
Hopefully not at Starbucks, since Starbucks is, closing a lot of stores.
Yeah, that's a whole other episode, which we will probably do at some point.
Yeah. Okay, so let's imagine for a minute that some of the most alarming predictions are true, that up to half of white-collar workers could be replaced by AI. Are there really enough spots for people in the trades to offset all those lost jobs?
Probably not. I mean, one thing to understand about the apprenticeship model is these trade schools will only let someone in if they can guarantee a job for them when they finish. So they're already getting a lot more applications than they can accept. And job opportunities in the trades are really regional. Like the electrician schools here in Western Washington have had to reduce the number of applicants they accept because there's a building slowdown here.
Yeah, because interest rates are high and people are building very few office buildings or apartment buildings in Seattle right now.
Yeah, exactly. But you know where construction isn't slowing down? On the east side of the mountains, where data centers are going up like crazy, in many cases to train AI models. When I was reporting out there a few weeks ago, I went to a Brotherhood night for the local electricians union, and it was packed with workers from all over, including several from Western Washington who went out there looking for work.
Data center isn't the market for the west side. So most people on the west side are building high rises and whatever that side of the mountain needs. That when you come on this east side, this is the market because they have data centers.
Okay, so geography is a huge factor in determining where the demand is. But, there's another long-term problem in construction that I often hear about. It's this idea of the silver tsunami that's going to hit when all the older tradespeople retire and there aren't enough younger people to replace them. Could this new interest in the trades solve that?
Yes and no. When I was growing up, I went to high school in this era that we talked about where all kids were pushed toward a college prep education, a 4-year degree. And so the trades weren't taught in school very much, and people my age, now in their 30s, weren't exposed to them as a viable career path. So you fast forward to today, and there's a gap in the more experienced kind of mid-level tradespeople who would replace those retirees because my generation largely didn't go into these fields. Now there's new interest at the entry level, but it'll take time for those workers to get the experience that they need to replace someone who's done this for their whole career.
Yeah. And with how quickly the job market is changing, it's a stressful time to be any kind of entry-level worker right now. The implication from tech execs is, blue-collar work is AI-proof, which is kind of ironic because blue-collar work has always had to deal with the threat of bigger and better automation.
It's very ironic. For a lot of history, blue-collar jobs were the ones most likely to be downsized because of automation. And the message was just learn to code because that will insulate you from the risks of technology. And now it's the opposite. White-collar jobs are on the chopping block, and the message is just go to trade school.
Yeah. Along those lines, how can workers today trust that it's worth going into these trades, investing all this time? How can they know that their jobs won't be automated by the time they reach that higher level?
Honestly, I don't know if they can. Right now, there are certain things that seem like they would be very difficult for a robot to do, like fixing your pipes. But we're seeing major investments in robotics. Everyone's trying to figure out how to stuff these new AI systems into real-world machines. I mean, Amazon's a perfect example of this. They've been automating their warehouses for a while now, and in July, they just hit a milestone where they deployed their millionth robot, one that uses AI. The New York Times just had a big story about this, that they could automate up to 75% of warehouse jobs. At the end of the day, companies are going to automate anything and everything that they can because it saves them money.
So where does that leave everyone who's trying to figure out how to make a living in the next few decades?
Great question. I mean, the companies that are developing these technologies say that we need to be retraining people for the jobs that are in demand now. At the white-collar level, that might be machine learning engineers who design these AI systems. In the trades, they say that we'll need thousands more HVAC technicians and electricians to work on the data centers that support these systems. I mean, Microsoft is spending billions of dollars to upskill people. But it can be really difficult for someone who's already halfway through their career to start a new one. And in the past, we have not done a great job of retraining people when technology has disrupted the job market. I do think that it'll be easier for younger generations to adapt to this constantly changing labor market. Jay Connolly, who runs the apprenticeship program in Seattle Public Schools, he says kids today just have a totally different outlook on their careers.
Students are thinking about careers as a 5 to 10 year decision. Many of them may stay in the construction trades longer than that, but discussion with 18-year-olds about a career lasting longer than 10 years feels unreal to them. Just looking around at how often their parents have changed careers, they are less likely to view this as a lifetime choice.
I wish I had a crystal ball that could say with certainty what the job market will look like when my kids grow up, or like even in a year from now when your eldest enters the workforce. But it's all really unpredictable right now. I think the important thing is that younger generations are learning to be resilient and flexible.
Yeah, I guess that's maybe a little ray of hope for future generations.
A small one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, Monica, thanks for bringing us this story.
Yeah, happy to.
Coming up next, the end game. All right, we are back with our producer, Alec Cowan, who has brought us an end game.
Hello, Monica. Hello, Joshua. How are you doing today?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Great. Well, it's time for another exciting installment of the booming Endgame jingle to come. So today I've got a 1 truth and 2 lies quiz for you today. So these will be a quiz about defunct jobs that no longer exist anymore. They were real jobs at one point. I'll give you 3 options. 2 of them don't exist, never existed. Maybe they will, hopefully not. And then one of them is the actual true job that at one point someone did actually do for money.
All right.
All right. So question number 1, these are 3 jobs. Which one is real? Is it A, a cat barber, which is someone who specialized in trimming the whiskers of nobles and royalty. B, an iron lark, someone who sang rhythmic mining songs, so miners would hammer in unison and dig faster. Or C, a resurrectionist, someone who dug up corpses and sold them to medical schools.
Oh, well, that existed. Right?
Clarifying question. Are the cats royal?
The cats are royal.
So these are like the noble people's royal cats.
They're noble cats.
Okay.
You know, strangely enough, I feel like cat barber is something you would see at like a cat, a cat convention or something today, like a pet show.
I think cat barbers still exist.
Well, there are certainly cat groomers, maybe not cat barbers specifically. What I'm talking about here is more related to noble cat whiskers and the trimming thereof.
As far as like old jobs, I think it was people who dug up corpses and sold them to medical schools. I think that was true.
I think that was real too. And I think that the ironworker one is real too.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so Monica, you're not totally wrong on iron larks. Historically, miners have sung underground for a very long time, but there wasn't a specific job dedicated to that singing. The answer is C. It's a resurrectionist. So resurrectionists were also known as body snatchers. The most common term you're probably familiar with is just grave robbers, because that's kind of basically what they were doing, just they weren't searching for jewels. They basically dug up graves with freshly buried bodies so that they could then sell those bodies on the open market, usually to medical schools and anatomy professors. I'm not sure this was ever strictly legal, but it was definitely made illegal in 1832 in the United Kingdom. And these resurrectionists, they make a lot of appearances in Gothic literature, most apropos of which is Frankenstein. Happy belated Halloween to our listeners.
Yeah.
I just watched Sleepy Hollow on Halloween, and this featured there, so it is a frequent Gothic motif.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So a correct answer right off the bat for the both of you. Question 2, which of these is real? These are all jester-related professions. So A flatulist, someone who specialized in farting to entertain nobles. B, a tickle-right, a royal entertainer whose entire job was to strategically tickle nobles throughout the back of their chair during important feasts and ceremonies. Or C, a bread jester, my personal favorite, someone who tested for poison and overall freshness of bakery goods for royals in medieval France.
Ah, interesting.
So you have a flatulist, tickle-right, bread jester.
I think the bread jester's real.
Yeah, I tend to think of a taster as being one who doesn't have specialties of like, I only taste bread, you know?
True.
So I'm going to say the flatulist, because there was actually a famous one in history who I've seen photographs of.
Joshua is correct.
Wow.
It is a flatulist. This was a really selfish question because one of my favorite obscure figures of history is a guy titled Roland the Farter, who was very real. It's a really old, obscure medieval profession for the most part. The writings of that time note skill and timing, musicality, and precision of pitch. They would often compete against one another at public fairs and royal festivities. There was one particular flatulist in the late 1800s who you mentioned, Joshua. He was said to be so skilled that he could blow out a candle. All right, so question number 3, which of these jobs actually existed? Is it A, a coffin kisser, someone who wrangled family members to verify a body by kissing their forehead before burial? B, a sin eater, someone who consumed food placed on a corpse to absorb the person's sins? Or C, a shadow catcher, someone who painted silhouettes of the recently deceased for mourning families because it was sinful to recreate someone's face in a painting after they died?
Sin eater.
Sin eater is horrible.
Yeah.
They eat food that has been placed on a dead corpse.
Indeed, this is
And that was
allegedly.
And that was you think that was real?
Yeah, I know it was real.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess sin eater.
That is correct. Joshua's really got the quarter on obscure historical jobs today. Nice job. Yes, so it is sin eater. This was a profession primarily in areas in the United Kingdom from about the 1600s to the 1800s. And basically this was a ritual where food like bread, sometimes ale, was placed on the chest of a dead person. The sin eater would then consume the food, which had absorbed the person's sins. And then the sin eater, in turn, was the one who absorbed the sins and purified the body.
It's a good way to get free meals.
We really should have released this episode on Halloween.
It is. There's a bit of a Halloween hangover here. They obviously, as a sin eater, did not have, they weren't the most popular person around town because they were just, but it was considered like a public service job.
Well, thank you for bringing us this very spooky endgame.
There you go.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. That's it for Booming. Thanks so much for listening.
And before we go, we're running an audience survey so that we can get to know you better and make sure that the show that we're making is the one that you want to be listening to. So if you're willing to give us a few minutes of your time, you can find the link to that survey in the show notes.
Yeah, and if you've donated to the show, thanks for your help. You make it all possible. And if you want to donate, go to kuow.org/booming. And thanks.
Our producers are Lucy Suchek and Alec Cowan. Our editor is Carol Smith. I'm Monica Nicholsberg.
I'm Joshua McNichols.
And we'll see you next time.